What's going on, guys? My name is Arrow, and today I'm bringing you the ultimate endgame guide and frequently asked questions for Cobra Lash in 3.18. Let's get into it. So I'm going to be running some footage in the background of gameplay without a Headhunter and without an Inspire Learning. Even though I have a Headhunter, I swapped out a random Stygian that had strength on it because I needed strength. So you can take a look at that footage to see what the build's going to feel like in Endgame without any Headhunter buffs. Now, before we get started, if you like my content, the best way to support me is to go down and click that like button and subscribe to my channel. It really helps. So we got a lot to talk about, so let's jump right into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is the claw. A lot of people have been sending me items that look pretty good, but are not better than a wasp nest. In order to be better than a wasp nest, you need a couple of things. About 450 physical damage per second. You need increased critical strike chance on the claw, or you need double damage. The problem is people will come to me and say, this has all this additional chaos damage on it. Is this better? No, it's not. In order to beat a wasp nest, that's 2C for perfect rolls, you need to have such a good claw that it's not worth investing 6 exalts into a claw that's only 3% more damage than a wasp nest. So what I recommend doing is wait till you can afford a 500 DPS plus claw and then worry about crafting one. And crit chance is super important to get on your claw. Base crit is huge. We have so much increased already that every bit of base crit we get goes such a long way. So as far as crafting the claw, you have a couple of options. The new recombinators are amazing. Now, last league, I took a fractured claw and I re-rolled with essences until I hit a pretty good percent fizz base. And that's how I made it. Now you can take a decent claw with, say, tier 2% and tier 2 attack speed and mush it into another base that has hybrid and crit chance. And if you get all 4 mods, you have a 600 physical damage per second claw. So there's no one way to craft a claw. I do recommend messing with recombinators. I've seen so many people in my Twitch chat show me items that they made for 60 chaos that ends up being a 40 exalt claw. So mess around with recombinators. There's no perfect method for it. Just take really high-end mods that you want on your endgame claw. Percent, hybrid percent, flat fizz, attack speed, and crit chance. Those are the most important things to get. And then just mush a bunch of them together until you get something good. The next big topic is critical strike chance. Now, I've seen some people come to me with their POBs and they are overcapped on crit by a ton. Don't waste crit chance. Once you get to 100%, any crit chance after that is completely wasted. So if your tree has 7 nodes on it with crit chance and you're overcapped, those are dead nodes now. There's no reason to be running them. And since we get multi from a lot of those nodes and attack speed from those nodes, we do want to keep them on the tree. So just make sure that once you get your crit chance really high, you can drop that diamond flask. And once you get it even higher, you can drop your critical strike gem in your 6-link. I would recommend getting a critical strike multiplier gem to put in your 6-link after you replace your crit chance gem. The end game of this build runs Bottled Faith, which is a ton of crit chance. So keep that in mind. You're going to have to go into your POB and see what your build looks like at any given time. There's no way for me to tell you exactly when to swap. Pull up your POB, make sure it's configured properly, and then see how much critical strike chance you have, and then what you need to move around. The elephant in the room, Ashes of the Stars. Now, this was 1 exalt last league, and it was a core piece of the build that gives a ton of damage, just an absolute metric ton of damage, and now it's 50 exalts. So we still eventually want an Ashes of the Stars if you want to push this build to the true endgame, but you don't need it. A +1 amulet, whether all skills or chaos skills, will suffice. This kind of leads me to my next point, which is level 25 Cobra Lash. So level 25 is a breakpoint for Cobra Lash, which gives you an additional chain. Every chain we get is 10 to 12% more damage for single target, and then a bunch more clear because each of your projectiles can now chain an additional time. So how do we get to 25? There's a couple of different ways to do it. We have 2 Awakened gems that give us +1 gem when we get them to level 5. That's Awakened Added Chaos and Awakened Void Manipulation. You want to be running both of those. They're not expensive, and getting them to level 5 is not that much work. So get those, and that's +2 right there. We use +1 on our body armor. This is mandatory for the end game, the +1 body armor. If you haven't seen my video on how to craft it and you're curious, my day 6 update, I'll put the link here. Check that video out. It shows you how to craft the chest. Follow it closely and you can't mess it up. The level 21 gem is a really nice way to get a level. It's not easy. I know some people have really had a hard time with it, especially some of my viewers. If you can't get it, you don't have to have it because you can get a +2 amulet. Now, it's not super easy to make one of these, but if you mush together using recombinators, a +1 chaos skill and a +1 all skill, you can now have a base that has +2 on it. That'll get you to 25 without the 21 gem. Once you want to run ashes though, you have to have a 21 gem in order to get to 25. A quick one here, accuracy. If you're not getting to 100%, it's going to feel pretty bad. So just make sure that you're at 100%, pull up your POB, make sure it's configured, and make sure your accuracy is at 100%. Simple as that. A question that I've been getting a ton in my Twitch chat, which you should go check out my Twitch, by the way, link in the description, is can I use daggers? Now, yes, you can use a dagger, but I would highly, highly advise against it. Daggers have a little bit better top-end damage than claws, but daggers lack the survivability that we get from a claw. Now, one of the biggest reasons that this build is tanky, that I've been running double, triple beyond with tons of extra monsters and never dying, is because I have so much life gain on hit that as soon as I take damage, I'm instantly at full health again. Most of the time, you can't even see my health go down because I'm just healing right through everything. Don't use a dagger. Claws are so important. Also, don't use a claw that has % leech as the base. Unfortunately, I had a viewer craft this amazing claw, but he did it on a % leech base. And as far as I'm concerned, it's just a dead claw. I hope he sold it already. Don't use % leech claws. All right, let's talk about the Watcher's Eye. There's tons of good mods that we can get for this build. I'm going to include a PoE trade link in the description that has all the mods that I'd recommend looking at. For starters, I would say definitely get -10 mana cost while you're affected by clarity. I dropped my faster attacks off of my Whirling Blades in order to get the gem socket that I needed. You can replace Replica Conquerors. You can get 1 more mana cost saved, and then you can get other mods alongside of it. I got blind while affected by Grace on mine. It was super cheap, but it gives you life and it gives you another mod. So it's definitely worth replacing the Replica Conquerors with a Clarity Watcher's Eye when you can. Let's talk focus. So last league, I had 20% double damage on my claw when focused. I had 50% attack speed on my gloves when focused. And you can also get 20% double damage when focused on your shield. All that put together ends up being like 65% more damage. Really want a boss deleting version of Cobra Lash, go for the double damage and really dive into it. It's so much damage. You can easily hit 30, 35, 40 million damage if you focus on double damage. And focus on focus. All right, alternate quality gems. So I'm going to run through a quick hit list of some things that you might want on your build. Anomalous Nightblade gives us elusive effect. Anomalous Withering Step gives us additional wither stacks. Phantasmal Ancestral Protector gives us increased effect of the totem, which is attack speed. Divergent Withering Touch is even more wither stacks. Between this and Withering Step, you'll be able to stay at 15, no problem. Divergent Mark on Hit gives us increased damage taken for enemies. So Forbidden Jewels, the prices are plummeting. You can get, I think, both jewels now for 3 exalts or less. I highly recommend them. So Forbidden Flame and Flesh do a few things for us. It fully converts us to chaos, so we can do every single mod in the game. There's no map that we can't do, and for me, that just feels amazing. I love it. It also gives us a bunch more chaos damage. That ends up being about 20% more damage, I believe, once you have the 2 jewels. So they're very nice to have, but not mandatory. All right, another thing that I want to talk about that isn't in the POB, but I did for my current version of the build is ailment immunity. So you can get 35% on your shield. We get 20% on the tree, and that means we need 45 more %. Implicit on boots and explicit on boots can get you that, and I am 100% ailment immune on this build. If you want to see that, you can go to my ! profile on my Twitch. Check out my profile. I'm live almost every single day on Twitch, so come check me out. Give me a follow. I'm happy to help with any questions you might have about your build. I have looked at hundreds of POBs. thousands of answered questions, lots of happy customers. So come check out the Twitch. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for the Cobra Lash Endgame guide. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments below. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate all your support so much. And as always, take care.